Soft night sounds, distant crickets, gentle flute. They say some children are born ordinary, and some are born remembered. In a quiet village surrounded by tall trees and red earth, a woman named Ma gave birth after many years of waiting. The women gathered that morning, expecting nothing unusual, just another cry, another child, another life. But when the baby was finally placed in Ma's arms, the room went silent. The child was too beautiful. Her skin shone softly, as if moonlight rested on it. Her eyes were bright and calm, not the eyes of a newborn, but of someone who had already seen the world. Even before she cried, the women began to whisper, "Ah, this child is special. Have you ever seen a baby like this? This one will turn heads." Outside, news spread faster than harmattan fire. By evening, men and women filled the compound. Old men leaned on their staffs. Young women stood in awe. Children climbed fences just to see her face, and they praised her. "Oh, this child is beautiful. She is the pride of this village. Her beauty will bring honor." But as the praises rose, Ma's body grew weak. Her smile faded. Her breath shortened. Her hands trembled. At first, no one noticed. Praise continued day after day. Whenever Ma stepped out with the child tied to her back, people stopped whatever they were doing. Men nodded in admiration. Women sighed, half in wonder, half in jealousy. "She is growing more beautiful every day. This one will marry a king. She was born blessed." And every time those words were spoken, Ma felt pain. By the time the child was named Amara, Ma had grown thin. Her laughter became rare. At night, she coughed and held her chest, as if something unseen was slowly being taken from her. Still, the village praised. As Amara grew, so did the attention. At the stream, women paused mid-conversation when she passed. At the market, traders gave her free fruits just to see her smile. Men spoke her name with pride, as if her beauty belonged to the whole village. "Amara, the beautiful one, the flower of our land." But behind closed doors, Ma suffered. One night, she called Amara to her mat. Her voice was weak, but serious. "My child," she said, holding Amara's hands, "never smile when they praise you. Never enjoy their admiration. There is something wrong with your beauty." Amara did not understand. "How can beauty be wrong?" she asked softly. Ma turned her face away and whispered, "Because every time they praise you, my strength leaves me." Amara laughed nervously. She thought it was fear speaking, not truth. But Ma knew. Days passed. Years passed. Amara became a young woman, and her beauty became unavoidable. The praise grew louder. The stares grew longer. The whispers followed her everywhere. And Ma's health grew worse. Then one morning, the village drum sounded. Boom, boom, boom. A royal announcement. The prince will choose a wife from among the maidens of the land. Excitement filled the village. Women dressed their daughters in fine wrappers. Men spoke proudly of their families. And one name filled every mouth. Amara. She is the one. No one can stand beside her. The prince will surely choose her. That same day, Ma collapsed. Her body burned with fever. Her breathing became shallow. Fear replaced celebration. The villagers lifted her onto a mat and said, "We must take her to the healer." As they carried Ma away, Amara followed, her heart pounding, not knowing that this was only the beginning. The path to the healer's hut was narrow and quiet, lit only by lanterns and the pale light of the moon. The villagers walked carefully, their excitement from earlier now replaced with fear and confusion. Ma lay on the mat, her body weak, her lips dry. Amara walked beside her, holding her hand, her mind heavy with questions. They reached the healer's compound just as the night wind began to howl. The healer was an old woman, her back bent with age, her eyes sharp like one who sees beyond the living. When she saw Ma, she did not rush. She only looked, long, silent, deep. Then she shook her head slowly. "This sickness," the healer said, "did not start today." The villagers murmured. It started the day praise entered this child's life. Amara's heart skipped. The healer ordered everyone to leave the hut except Amara. She placed herbs on the fire and the smoke filled the room, thick and bitter. Mama and Ma coughed weakly. The healer turned to Amara. "Tell me," she asked, "what do people say when they see you?" Amara hesitated. They praise me." The healer nodded. "And when they praise you," she continued, "what happens to your mother?" Amara's eyes filled with tears. "She grows weak." The healer closed her eyes. "Then the dream has begun to speak." Amara froze. "What dream?" she asked. The healer stirred the herbs slowly. "Before you were born," she said, "your grandmother came to me. She was restless. She said the ancestors showed her a child beautiful beyond measure, but bound to pain." The fire crackled louder. "She said the beauty would feed on admiration, and every praise spoken would take life from the one who carried the child." Amara's knees shook. The dream warned. The healer continued, that the village would celebrate the beauty, but not see the suffering it caused. Mom and Ma groaned softly. Amara rushed to her side. "Can it be stopped?" Amara cried. "Can my mother be saved?" The healer looked at her for a long time. "There is a price," she said quietly. "Beauty given by spirits must be paid for by sacrifice." The villagers outside began to whisper anxiously. The healer stepped out of the hut and addressed them. "This woman is sick," she said, "not by poison, not by illness, but by praise." The villagers gasped. "How can words cause sickness?" one man asked. The healer raised her staff. "Words have power. Admiration feeds what is not meant to be fed." Silence fell. The healer turned back to Amara. "The dream your grandmother spoke of also warned of a choice," she said. "When the time comes, you must choose between being admired and being loved." Amara swallowed hard. "What time?" she asked. The healer's eyes shifted toward the royal drums echoing faintly in the distance. "The day the prince looks at you." Mama and Ma opened her eyes weakly and whispered, "Amara, remember my words." Amara held her mother and cried quietly as the fire burned low. That night, the healer gave herbs to Mom and Ma, and her breathing eased slightly. But the healer knew, and Amara knew, this was not over. The village returned home uneasy, their praises trapped in their throats. But the prince's choosing day was coming. And when it came, the beauty would demand its full price. The morning the prince arrived, the village woke earlier than usual. Even the sun seemed to rise slowly, as if it too wanted to watch what would happen. Women swept their compounds until the ground shone. Young maidens bathed in scented water and braided their hair carefully. Men gathered at the village square, whispering with excitement. Today was the day. The prince would choose a wife. At Mama and Ma's hut, the air was heavy. Mama and Ma lay weak on her mat, her eyes half open. The herbs from the healer had helped a little, but her strength had not returned. Amara sat beside her, uneasy. "My child," Mama and Ma whispered, "do not let them praise you today." Amara nodded. "I will keep my eyes down," she said. "I will not smile." But beauty does not wait for permission. When Amara stepped into the open, the village reacted as if a spirit had passed through. Conversation stopped. Breathing slowed. Women touched their wrappers in disbelief. Men cleared their throats, unable to look away. "She is even more beautiful today," someone whispered. The praises returned soft at first, then bold. "Ah, Amara, this is the one. No other can stand beside her." At that same moment, Mama and Ma screamed. The pain struck her like fire. Her body shook violently. Neighbors rushed into the hut. "She is burning. She is losing breath." As the prince's procession entered the village with music and praise singers, Mama and Ma collapsed completely. At the village square, the prince sat under a decorated canopy, watching the maidens walk past one by one. When Amara stepped forward, the drums stopped. The prince leaned forward. His eyes widened. He smiled. The crowd erupted. "That is her. The most beautiful. Our pride." Miles away in the hut, Mama and Ma gasped for air. Amara's knees weakened. Her vision blurred. She heard the healer's voice in her mind. When the prince looks at you. The prince stood. I have seen her, he said. She is the one I choose. Cheers exploded, and Amara fell. She collapsed to the ground as if her spirit had left her body. The celebration turned to chaos. Amara has fainted. The mother is dying. The healer was summoned immediately. When she arrived and saw Mama and Ma, her face hardened. The praise has reached its peak, she said. This beauty has taken too much. She turned to the villagers. You have admired without understanding, she said sternly. Now the price is being demanded. Amara lay unconscious beside her mother, tears frozen on her cheeks. The prince watched from a distance, confused, as joy turned to fear. And in that moment the healer knew. The choice foretold in the dream was close. Amara did not wake the way people usually wake. She drifted. Her body lay still in the healer's hut, but her spirit moved light, weightless, into a place that felt both familiar and far away. The air was cool. The ground beneath her feet glowed faintly, like moonlight resting on water. She heard her name. Amara. The voice was gentle, old, loving. She turned. There stood her grandmother. Not bent by age, not worn by sickness, but strong, calm, and glowing like the dawn. Grandma, Amara whispered. The old woman smiled sadly. I warned them, she said. But warnings are easy to forget when beauty enters a house. Amara's heart trembled. Why is this happening to my mother? She cried. Why am I hurting her? The grandmother raised her hand, and the dream changed. Amara saw herself as a baby, surrounded by villagers praising, clapping, smiling. With every praise, she saw her mother growing weaker, slower, thinner, paler. Your beauty, the grandmother said, was not given freely. It was tied to admiration. She turned to Amara. Every word of praise feeds the beauty, and the beauty feeds on life. Amara fell to her knees. Can it be stopped? She begged. The grandmother nodded. But stopping it means losing what everyone loves about you. The dream darkened. Amara saw the prince standing proudly beside her, the crowd praising endlessly. Her mother lay lifeless on the ground. She screamed, No! The grandmother's voice became firm. If you marry the prince, she said, praise will never stop. Your mother will not survive. Tears streamed down Amara's face. Then what must I do? She whispered. The grandmother looked away, as if the answer hurt her too. You must refuse the prince. You must allow your beauty to fade. You must let admiration turn to silence. Amara's chest tightened. What if the village hates me? She asked. The grandmother met her eyes. Hatred is lighter than guilt, she said. The dream began to fade. Remember, the grandmother's voice echoed. Beauty that destroys is not a blessing. Amara felt herself falling, back into her body. She woke with a sharp breath. The healer sat beside her. You have heard her, the healer said quietly. Amara nodded, tears sliding down her temples. The dream your grandmother spoke of has spoken to you now. Amara turned to look at her mother. Mama and Ma lay still but alive. Amara reached for her hand and whispered, I choose you. Outside, the village waited, and the prince prepared to return, unaware that the most painful choice had already been made. When Amara stepped out of the healer's hut the next morning, the village was already awake. Word had spread quickly. The prince will return today. He is waiting for her answer. Women gathered near the square, whispering. Men stood in groups, confident, proud. No one doubted the outcome. How could Amara refuse a prince? Inside the hut, Mama and Ma slept peacefully for the first time in many days. Her breathing was steady. Her face, though thin, carried a softness Amara had not seen in a long time. Amara bent and kissed her forehead. I will come back, she whispered. Alive. At the village square, the prince stood tall, dressed in royal cloth, surrounded by guards. His eyes searched for Amara with certainty. When she appeared, the murmuring began. There she is. Still beautiful. The prince has already chosen. Amara walked slowly, her head lowered. She felt every eye on her body, every expectation pressing against her chest. The prince smiled. Amara, he said warmly, I have chosen you to be my wife. The crowd cheered. Amara lifted her head and spoke. I cannot accept. Silence fell like a slap. The prince blinked. The village froze. What did she say? She must be joking. I cannot marry you, Amara repeated, her voice shaking but clear. The prince's smile faded. Why? He asked, wounded pride creeping into his tone. Amara's hands trembled. Because my beauty costs life, she said, and I will not pay with my mother. A murmur of confusion turned into laughter. Listen to her. Beauty has made her mad. She thinks she is above royalty. The prince's face hardened. You embarrass me before your people, he said coldly. Amara said nothing. The praise began to rot. She is ungrateful. Proud girl. Let her keep her beauty to herself. As the crowd's admiration twisted into anger, something strange happened. Amara felt a heat pass through her body. Her skin dulled slightly. Her glow softened. The shine in her eyes dimmed. No one noticed at first. But by evening, she looks different, someone whispered. Not as bright. Back in her hut, Ma woke stronger. She sat up. She ate. She smiled. Each insult spoken outside made her stronger. Each rejection took something away from Amara. By nightfall, Amara stared at her reflection in a calabash of water. She was still beautiful but no longer unreachable. And for the first time, her mother was safe. Days passed after Amara rejected the prince. At first, the village still talked. Some with anger, some with mockery, some with disbelief. But slowly, the noise faded. Amara no longer heard her name shouted across the market. No one paused when she passed. No one offered her free fruits or extra smiles. She had become ordinary. At the stream, women who once stared now looked away. At gatherings, young men sat without noticing her presence. And with every day that passed, her beauty continued to fade, not into ugliness, but into simplicity. Her skin no longer glowed. Her eyes no longer held people captive. She became someone you could look at and forget. But in her hut, something else was happening. Ma was recovering. She woke early. She laughed again. Her strength returned slowly, like a plant after rain. One evening, Ma watched Amara return from the market empty-handed. They did not greet you, she said gently. Amara smiled faintly. It is better this way. That night, as Amara lay awake, she cried. Not from regret, but from loss. She mourned the girl everyone loved without knowing. She mourned the life she would never live. But she did not mourn her choice. One afternoon, the prince passed through the village again. This time, no drums followed him. He saw Amara sitting beside her mother, grinding herbs. He stopped. He looked, and he did not recognize her at first. Later, he learned the truth from the healer. And for the first time, the prince felt shame. But Amara did not look back. She had learned something the village had not. Beauty that survives on attention is weak. Love that survives without applause is strong. Amara began to help the healer. She learned plants. She learned listening. She learned patience. People came to her not because she was beautiful, but because she was kind. And Ma lived. Years passed quietly. The village changed, as villages always do. But one thing remained, the story of Amara. Amara grew into a woman known not for her face, but for her hands. Hands that healed. Hands that comforted. Hands that held life without taking it. She became the healer's helper, and later her successor. People no longer came to her with admiration. They came with pain, with sickness, with tears, and she listened. Ma lived long enough to see her daughter respected. Not envied, not worshipped, but trusted. On her last day, she held Amara's hand and smiled. You paid the price, she whispered, and you paid it with love. When Mama and Ma passed, the village mourned, not in fear, but in peace. One evening, as the moon rose full and bright, elders gathered children around a fire and told the story. They said, "Not every gift is free. Not every beauty is a blessing. And not every praise is harmless." They taught their daughters to value kindness over admiration. They taught their sons to look beyond faces. And when someone admired another too loudly, an elder would cough and say, "Remember Amara." Amara herself never spoke of her sacrifice. She lived simply, loved deeply, and slept peacefully. And that was the beauty that never demanded a price.